What's up everybody, Landon with Late Model Restoration. Welcome to my overview and install on SVE's Bumpsteer Kit, designed for the 1994 to 2004 Mustang, equipped with a power steering rack. Now if you plan on lowering, or you've already lowered your 94 to 04 SN95 Mustang, then you should consider this Bumpsteer Kit from industry leader SVE. This kit is designed to properly correct suspension geometry and eliminate bump steer on your lowered SN95 Mustang. Believe it or not, every car has bump steer. However, when you lower your Mustang, you increase the amount of bump steer that occurs because of the changes in tow. Undesirable bump steer is easily noticed when you go over bumps because the suspension is steering the car instead of the driver. This SVE Bumpsteer Kit replaces the factory outer tie rods and incorporates heavy-duty spherical rod ends for superior performance. Adjustability is extremely easy because of the included spacers, which are there to help properly dial in the suspension geometry. The tapered rod end is engineered to the exact specification of the spindle, so no drilling or modification is required when installing this SVE kit. Fitment-wise, this SVE kit is designed to work with all 1994 to 2004 SN95 Mustangs equipped with a power rack.
To begin the install, support the car via a lift or jack stands. Go ahead and remove both front wheels. Use a pair of needle nose pliers and remove the cotter pin from the outer tie rod. Loosen and remove the castle nut with an 18mm socket. Strike the side of the spindle with a hammer or use a joint separating tool to remove the outer tie rod from the spindle. Do the same for the other side. Measure the distance from the back side of the outer tie rod where it makes contact with the jam nut to the center point of the tapered stud. Record this measurement. Slide the tapered stud back into the spindle and then loosen the jam nut. You'll want to back off on the jam nut just enough to remove the outer tie rod from the inner tie rod. Remove the outer tie rod from the steering rack. Place the SVE Bumpsteer assembly on a workbench. Remove the 24mm nut from the stud and then slide the stud up to achieve a good measurement. Measure the same distance on the SVE Bumpsteer as you did on the outer tie rod. Since this kit features a heim joint, you can adjust the overall width. Back off on the jam nut and adjust the aluminum body. Once you achieve the measurement recorded earlier, retighten the jam nut. Install the SVE Bumpsteer assembly onto the outer tie rod. Thread it all the way until it touches the jam nut or the heim joint is parallel with the steering rack. Finger tighten the jam nut. Slide the tapered stud into the spindle and tighten the 19mm nut just enough to eliminate any play in the stud. Position the heim joint onto the stud. Use the correct assortment of spacers to properly space the bump steer and inner tie rod assembly so that it is parallel with the control arm. Once you find the correct assortment of spacers, go ahead and remove the heim joint. Slide on those spacers, followed by the heim joint, then the remaining spacers. Lastly, thread on the 24mm nut and then torque to 50 pound-feet. Tighten the jam nut with a series of crescent or opened-end wrenches. Then torque the 19mm nut to 40 pound-feet. Repeat these steps for the other side. Get the car on the ground, take it for a quick spin, and you're all finished.
Wrapping things up here guys, I would recommend setting aside about 2 hours from start to finish to get this kit installed into your car. Of course, once you do complete the install, be sure and run it down to your local alignment shop so they can work their magic and get your car properly aligned. To see more great products from industry leader SVE, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Of course, be sure and pick up this SVE Bumpsteer Kit for your 94 to 04 Mustang from the Real Mustang Enthusiasts, LMR.com.